Hello and welcome to Artifacts, a living archive dedicated to preserving the first-person stories of queer, avant-garde, and underground culture, told by those who lived it. Today's interview is part of our series, Gender Benders, showcasing the underground icons who transcended the boundaries of traditional gender and identity. This episode is a conversation I had with Sylvia Rivera. Sylvia was a pioneering trans activist and co-founder of S.T.A.R, that stands for Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries. From her early years surviving as a runaway in Times Square, to being booed at an early Pride March or speaking truth to power, Sylvia never stopped fighting for the rights of the most marginalized. Her voice in this archival interview is raw and unforgettable. Recorded at Sylvia's home in Tarrytown, New York on the 10th anniversary of Stonewall.
I was at the Stonewall.
Were you in the bar?
It was the first time I had been in the bar.
Is that right?
And, we all got chased down and went across the street, to me it was exciting, cause
Yeah.
I had been in many raids before, because that wasn't my bar. I used to always go to the Washington Square bar on 3rd and Broadway, which is a drag queen bar. So
Your Marsha said it was that bar and the 10th of never.
The 10th of always, right.
Yeah.
But 10th of always was like a soda, they didn't serve part of it. So it was basically the Washington Square bar. And, all of a sudden I saw gay brothers and sisters, mostly all gay brothers, to start throwing money and whatnot. And it didn't dawn on me what they were doing, even though I wasn't that naive, but it dawned on me later after the riot and whatnot that they were, giving them their payoff. But I sat in the Washington Square bar many times, and I saw police come in, we knew they were cops. And,
Did they try to bust that bar?
they did it many a times. Sitting there, sitting there trying to enjoy yourself, and here you get, ripped off by the cops. But it was no problem, because as soon as they were gone, the padlocks came off the door, and more liquor was put up on the bar, and we were back in. It was really, it was all part of the routine, We had to, we learned to live with it. It was all part of the life.
Well, do you have very many specific memories of that night at Stonewall? Because that would be real interesting.
It was frightening at first. At first I didn't want to get into it. Even though I had been waiting for it, violence had been, basically, part of my life. I grew up in a ghetto. I had to learn how to,
Some of the time
It was so beautiful to see everyone so so together. Everybody had just, people just came. All of a sudden, there's more people on top of more people. It was unreal. And to know that we've accomplished to have these cops and people barricaded in one of our bars, and they can't get out because we're outside, and they can't get no reinforcements yet. We were feeling good.
Yeah.
And everybody was feeling it was time for liberation.
Yeah.
And it was felt there. I mean, we ran around breaking windows, setting things on fire, turning over cars. Yeah, but the Stonewall riot was a beautiful evening.
How did you stay all night?
Yeah. I just had to. I mean,
What was the feeling in the crowd?
The feeling in the crowd was, I guess they were feeling the same thing I was feeling, freedom at last, It seemed like when it happened, I mean, I told Arthur Bell this too. I felt like, I don't know what anybody else felt, but I felt like a big weight was taken off my shoulders. I finally felt free, I really did. Even though I had always considered myself free, but I was always afraid of being arrested for wearing makeup or just being gay. I mean, these were constant raids. These weren't, every once in a blue moon.
It was constant.
Constantly. I mean, we couldn't even, like I told you before, we couldn't sit down in a coffee shop without them backing the paddy wagon bus and take us off to jail. you could feel the tension. Like, you know, I know from my side of the community, I know we were always harassed. I mean, like, you know, the village was a whole different area. It was only to go to the bars. We always most drag queens always hung uptown on 42nd Street or 72nd Street.
So there's not many drag queens in the village.
No. And we used to constantly be arrested. And I mean, we'd be sitting in a restaurant called Biffits in the middle of 42nd Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. It don't exist anymore. But they used to back up the paddy wagon bus to the door and drag us all into jail before the gay movement came around. I was beat up in a doorway by a policeman while I was waiting for my friend to finish talking to another friend of his because I told him I wouldn't move. These were dreams that we all had. I mean, we lived in little dinky hotel rooms and, you know, hot spring hotels, they used to call them.
Really?
Yeah. So,
what did that mean?
It was mainly transit for the women prostitutes, but a lot of, you know, young gays that ran away from home, that were drag queens, or back in the early 60s, we just used upper head makeup. We only got dressed in drag only for special occasions. Drag came in later on after 66. Everybody had to go in drag. It took me until 1969 to get into full drag all the time.
Really?
But then I was showing the world who I was. But I always worked with makeup. I worked for Child's Restaurants for a number of years. I started off as a messenger boy.
That's what Marsha said.
Yes, me and another queen named Vanessa. She started there first, and she used to go flaming. And I said, but Miss Sting, how can you get away with that? She said, they just love it. I said, well, let me know when they have a job opening. So, boom, I got a job there.
Did you work in full face makeup?
In full face makeup, and then I got I got a promotion to billing clerk. Okay. I used to go in there with a suit and a tie and full face makeup. Had a piece in my hair. Not that I ever needed it because I always had enough hair, but I always had, you know, add a little more fluff. Yeah. And this is the way I worked. Then I got another promotion into the accounts payable department. And I had some static with the office manager about I constantly was asking for more money, you know, and she laid me off. Just being gay. That's the whole bullshit. Yeah. They hit us all mainly with loitering and upper head female impersonation, which is not a law, but they always try to make it stick. It's you know, and like I saw a couple of them get beat up when they started giving mouth, giving the cops lip.
Yeah.
And you know, like. But, you know, I was young.
How old were you?
I was about 11 and a half. But I looked like 15 or 16.
Wow, that's
well,
really
I left
young.
home at that age.
At 11?
Yes.
I
didn't finish school or anything. And seeing this, I was, shaken up.
Yeah.
And plus knowing that I was a runaway, I thought, oh my God, I said, now they'll probably send me home, and I don't want to go home. So I'm rapping to one of the Spanish queens in Spanish. I said, what should I do? Should I tell them my real age? Well, she said, no, why? And give him a fake name. I dug up the name Roberto Soya. Couldn't even spell the last name, which was the funniest part about it. And I told them I was 16 years old. They busted me. I spent 3 days at the Brooklyn House of Detention on the 4th floor, which is the Queen's floor.
Oh, yeah? All queens?
All queens. All gay people. And we spent the reason we got put in jail was because of me. So everybody tells me. Because we're standing in one big mass in front of this night court judge, and he gets up and he has some glasses on. He goes like this. He says, and all these men. I didn't know I was in court. It was the first time I was in court. So I said, he said, put him in jail for the weekend. And they all got on me when we were put back in. Why did you laugh? I said, I didn't know I was supposed to laugh. I thought it was funny. So they were all on me, but they forgave me because they knew I didn't know the ropes. But I just don't like being around a lot of queens. They're very noisy and very tacky. We get on each other's case. We get very loud. But Rikers Island the food was lousy. When I fell into Rikers Island in 72, I believe. for Switchblade and female impersonation. No, criminal impersonation.
What does that mean?
I was so-called supposed to be out to commit a crime because I was in drag and I had a switchblade. They wouldn't let us bathe but once a week. They let us out for 1 hour a day. It was really lousy. You know, and I was there in the middle, sometime in July, and all that heat. And, you know, it was really, really sickening to see how we were treated in there, you know. But I guess it's all part of the way people, think and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We had no rights out on the street. Why should we have any in there? Let's face it. So like one day it was so hot we just couldn't take it anymore. We stuffed toilet paper down into the toilet, into the sink. We just kept on pushing on them until everything was flooded.
Uh-huh.
And somebody started burning up their mattress, and that started everybody else going.
Uh-huh.
It was like, you know, when one did it, everybody else did it, or we'd all plan it together. Like the toilet bullshit we had planned on lockout. We can't stand this bullshit. We got showers. Well, they got showers after I left and whatnot, you know, on a regular basis. You know, this is the way they always attacked us with stereotypes. But we can't change our ways.
Maybe they're showing their own embarrassment by you flaunting it because you look gay.
No, but they sit in the bars. Oh, Missing Mary, and they're switching their asses when they're down in the bars and in the gay village. But when they're somewhere else, don't you dare call them Missing. At least we have the pride to always show what we are. I've been this way since the year one, I guess, and I'm going to die because I'm not afraid. And they're constantly saying we're stereotypes. So what? You know, like, I refused to believe it when the movement started. Like Bob Kohler told me once, he says, Sylvia, the oppressed become the oppressor. Sooner or later, you're going to be fucked over. We were accepted, like, when I called GAA, I spoke to Jim Island on the phone. And, you know, like, I really wanted to get into the movement because this is something that I had always waited for. We used to sit around and parties, you know, we'd be getting drunk and getting high and doing things, you know, and we'd be saying, oh, wouldn't it be great for one day when we can walk down the streets and say, fuck the world, we're here and we're going to stay and we don't have to worry about the police harassing us and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, I refused to believe that. Because I didn't think, I felt the walls had all come tumbling down when the gay movement was born. We were all, you know, getting to be one happy gay family, like it should have always been. And then, in 73, they start building up that goddamn wall again. Well, S&Ms go here, the lesbians go here, and, you know, all this garbage. I mean, that does not look good. I don't think it does. That's when I got up and I don't know, I got up up there and I became completely radical, a complete revolution. I don't know, I felt like I just reached the point where I was tired of being fucked over. And I just got up and said, you know, I asked majority, I have a big mouth. I don't know if anyone's told you that, but when I chant, they can hear me maybe 2 and 3 blocks back.
Oh, yeah.
I felt so revolutionized. I got up and I denounced the American flag, and I said something to the point, if I had a gun, I'd blow half you pigs away right now. And I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I just rattled on. Complete revolution, that was on my mind. I started out from my childhood, I told him. I said I was oppressed because I'm Spanish, now I'm oppressed because I'm gay. I said, Jesus Christ, I said, I don't believe in nothing this government predicts. I said, I denounced the American flag. Marsha and I worked for the same company. She was working as a waiter for Charles. I used to walk in and she used to run to the back. I'd come in and say, hello, Miss Marsha. She said, oh, Miss Sylvia, I have customers. She'd have her hands full of plates, you know, her arms. And she'd run and she'd say, you got my check today? I said, oh, lay down. I mean, and this is the way, any store that she worked in, anytime I walked in, oh, we'd scream and we'd holler. But sometimes, like, you know, she'd be very busy, like, she'd try to ignore me, you know. But I wouldn't let her out. Oh, Miss Marsha, you don't do that to me. I'll read you. I told Miss Sylvia, go on about your business. First time I met Marsha was it was a Halloween, and she was in full drag, and she was still living out in New Jersey. And she came, I guess, from the bus station. And back then, I mean, there was literally the majority of the people on 42nd Street were all drag queens at night, anyway. Just damn groups of 20 and 30, you know, all around the block, you know.
What, in this 42nd Street between where? 8th and 9th?
7th and 8th, and all around where the Times building is. That whole block was ours.
Yeah.
That was ours. At nighttime, that was ours. Okay, so Marsha came out of the subway station. I guess she took the shortcut from the Port Authority. And we were all standing there in mass. The majority of us was Spanish. And one Spanish queen named Luisa says, "Look at Miss Marsha." You know, we're rattling off in Spanish. And she says, "Look at Miss Marsha, I'm going to steal her wig." This Spanish queen stole Miss Marsha's wig. And Miss Marsha just stood there and said, "Oh no, that will not do." So she runs after the queen, and here we're all banding together to see who's going to kill who, you know, which one's going to beat the shit out of each other. So I thought, like, we went up through the streets, we were picking up more people, there was about 100 of us. And we stopped traffic and we crossed the street. I think she finally caught her up by Bryant Park. And she laid it to her. She says, "Don't you ever." And she just beat this child. And we all just stood there and gasped. She says, "Don't you ever steal my wig again." She was panhandling one day on 8th Avenue, and I was coming down the street. She says, "Miss Sylvia, don't go up to 42nd Street." I said, "Why?" She says, "They're picking up queens left and right." I said, "Oh, well, they won't follow me." I stayed up, know me. I said, "Miss Sylvia, don't go up there." And me, stubborn Sylvia, gotta go up there. And I'm walking down the street, I bump into another Spanish queen named Chicky. I said, "Miss Marsha said they're busting people." She says, "Yeah, I just heard that. Let's get out of here." Because the street was very empty, and that's what frightened me, you know. She says, "Yeah, let's get out of here." So we start walking. All of a sudden she says, "Walk a little faster, they're coming." I said, "Who's coming?" She says, "The bulls," you know. I'm saying, where? You know, this is my first experience, you know. I'm saying, "Where? I don't see nobody." Next thing I know, they're taking us into a hallway.
Really?
In between a movie theater and a hot dog stand in the middle of 42nd Street, between 7th and 8th Avenue.
So Marsha's, you haven't been in as much as Marsha
Oh,
has.
no,
Marsha seems like it's a revolving door for Marsha.
She revolves in and out. It's unfortunate.
What do you think is it that makes Marsha so unique?
She left her hair down anytime,
She
anywhere,
does
any day.
not give a fuck about nothing. Nothing will stop her.
Mm-hmm.
No one can say nothing to her.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like about Marsha, and I think that's why she's so unique, and her voice.
Well, honey, my name is Marsha P. Johnson, and the P stands for Piola.
That's the name I used to give her. Because I used to ask her, "What's the P for?" She said, "I don't know, it just sounds good." I said, "Okay, Piola, that will be your name now."
She told me last night it was for Pay It No Mind.
Well, the
new.
change.
Yeah, no, she said she
Pay
uses
it no
that.
mind. Well, that's her too, because she pays nothing no more.
Yeah, that's right.
I have seen Marsha take her last money and feed her dogs and cats short ribs and stuff while she was starving. Because she said, "A dumb animal can't fend for himself, and I can get out on the block and get it for them." This is Marsha. And you tell her you need some money, and if she has it, she'll give it to you. And every time I see her, "You got any change?" Give a couple of dollars, you know, whatever. Buy a couple of drinks.
Oh, Miss Sylvia, you're so nice to me.
And I said, "Oh, Miss bitch, shut up." I said, "You've always given me stuff when I needed it."
Yeah.
She was there when I had a big problem. When I was on drugs, she was there. She helped. And like Marsha, there'll never be another Marsha. Marsha's, like I said before, she's like part of my family. I don't have a family except grandmother. And I love her here. That's it. There's nobody like Marsha.
Yeah.
She's the person.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way, man. If you're at a party or you're bored, she'll brighten the day right up. they'll become grand.
She'll never let anyone be depressed. Everything that comes out of her mouth, just the way she talks, will make somebody just laugh and feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, laughing at her.
No, I know.
Yeah, and she's such a camp when she gets going.
Yeah.
I mean, she really is.
Yeah.
Artifacts is a free oral histories platform. Please like, subscribe, and visit our website, www.artifacts.movie, for an ad-free, interactive experience with bonus content. If you're able, please make a tax-deductible donation at www.artifacts.movie/donate. Hit the link on screen to watch another Artifacts interview.